Welcome to Traction REIA's main online meeting for February 2024. Tom Zeeb, president of Traction REIA. And I've got a kind of special announcement for us right now. After a fairly long process of dealing with our trademark and patent attorney, the United States Patent and Trademark Office has formally recognized Traction, the name Traction, and Traction Real Estate Investors Association and Traction Real Estate Mentors as a registered trademark, as well as our logo, the rather unique car. I guess I could share the screen and you'll see it. The rather unique car and what do you call it there? The car and that's not it. That's not the first slide. Why did it switch slides on me? There we go. Look at that. The car. That's in the shape of a house, or is it the house in the shape of a car? We don't quite know exactly which one it is, but we're happy about it. So we now have the R with a circle next to it. So yay, we're very excited about that. Many thanks to, it seems to be automatically changing. Must be a timer set on that one. A long process, but a worthwhile process, and we're happy to have secured the name after all these years. We started using it, I think, the first time in 2011, and it was, I think I told this story via email, when I was looking to rename Capital Area REIA, the group that I started with in the early 2000s, maybe, I don't know, 02, 03, 01, something like that, and then got asked to take over leadership of it in 2008. And after a couple of years, I said, I don't really like the name that much. It doesn't mean anything, Capital Area REIA. And I was going to rename it Catalyst REIA. And my marketing consultant, whom you can hear a fantastic interview about marketing, his name is Dove Gordon. The interview is on my podcast at tomzeeb.com. Look for the interview with Dove Gordon, it's spelled like dove, pronounced like Dove Gordon, and you'll enjoy that one. But he said, no, your people, Tom, your people want to get traction in the business. Nobody's looking for a catalyst. They're looking to get traction. And that was how the name came around, so which was pretty awesome. But then as a girl in one of my business mastermind groups said to me, she goes, well, why would you want to be the catalyst? The catalyst is destroyed in the chemical reaction. And I thought, how on earth do you know? She goes, I majored in chemistry. I said, of course. I don't want to be the one that gets destroyed in the transaction. We want to make things nice. So it was good that way. So, all right, everything is good. A couple of ground rules for this evening. Carolina is in the she's in the chat area. If you have anything specific, you can private message her in the Zoom chat. You can email her. She's checking both. She's kind of looking at my email as well, because some people always seem to email me, but I tend to focus on exactly what I'm doing. So I'm not really checking my email or any other sort of messages. So if you really want a response and want to get something done, hit up Carolina in the Zoom chat. Private chat's usually best. Also, the chat box in general, try to keep it, if our speaker asks you to put things on there, go ahead and put them in there. Otherwise, just kind of keep the chat for any, again, private chats. They're the public chats that go back and forth. Some people try to keep like a running sideshow going, and it's distracting. It's distracting to the speaker because it pops up on their screen. It's distracting to the other people. So we try to tell you, don't use the chat very much unless it's to send private messages to Carolina. What else do I need to say? This meeting in the format will be is obviously online. Many of the months this year are going to be online, since we've had ragingly good feedback about that. And we've converted our in-person events that we're still doing, but about 4 times a year now in DC, I should say 5 times a year, and in Sarasota. Those are our focus zones that we have those are our areas that we have legislative responsibilities for, that we have to keep up, not just on the federal legislation, but also the state and local in those areas. And so we also do live in-person events there, but we converted those to our very popular now beer and real estate events that are just pure, it's a social time to be networking and having a good time with a beer or whatever you choose to drink. Other announcements, Carolina, have I forgotten anything? I'm sure I have.
No, in the chat, we'll introduce sponsors, so no.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We'll put things in the chat for sponsors. So keep any kind of non-approved solicitation out, because what you may not realize with sponsors is that we screen them, we vet them, we check them out, we have them investigated, we make sure that they're clean, awesome, good people, and they also sign a code of ethics to that as well. That's one of the reasons why we only want to put people in front of you that we know, like, and trust, so that you can get to know them, like them, and trust them as well. So if you're not on the approved list, talk to us privately, but don't just go kind of, dropping your information into the chat. All right. With that being said, I kind of introduced myself as we go there. Tom Zeeb, president of Traction REIA. Super happy to be here with you guys. And quick disclaimer, because my attorney makes me do it. Traction Real Estate Investors Association is all about teaching you how to make money in real estate investing. So if you want to quit your job, you can. If you're looking to replace or match your income, you can. If you want to just keep it as a side hustle, you can. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I need to say that there's no guarantees. And now we can talk like grown adults, according to my attorney. So I don't know exactly how you found us. Might have been on social media, might have been an email. Somebody might have shared a post with you. Maybe you found us on Meetup or somewhere else. Man, these slides are going out of control. I must have not turned the timings off. Go back to social media, wherever you found us, and share the event. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Feel free to comment. All that stuff helps us meet more great people just like you. And while you're on there, if you're on Facebook, man, I got to fix the timings on these. I'll do it in a second. We have a Facebook group so we can keep the party going when we are not at any of the in-person or online meetings. Go to Facebook, look for Traction Real Estate Investors. You'll find the group that has that banner and that headline. You can join that, and these groups are as valuable as you make them. So get in there and make some noise, have some chat, make some useful comments, share some useful information, and we'll keep things rolling offline. Then, if you are a podcast listener, I have an entire these auto advancings are driving me nuts. So here, I'm going to show you the back room here. I don't know why are these advancing on me. This must be set to, let's see if I can find the animation. How fast can I do this? Animation pane. There's the animation pane. Where is it? I have no idea. Why is it auto advancing? It's driving me crazy. Interesting. I can't figure it out. So you know what? We're going back to that window. Sorry, gang. I can't figure out why it's auto advancing. So I'm either going to keep backing up or I'll just talk extra super duper fast. So TomZeeb.com, my entire podcast, which used to be called the Get Traction Podcast. This last season, we've called it the Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation, because that is what we focus on. And there are multiple interviews with successful real estate investors and other business colleagues, people that I use in my business, that I find the discussions interesting, that I think you'll find interesting for your business. So hit up TomZeeb.com, and then you can jump to wherever it is that you listen to podcasts from. So awesome there. Now, matching that, if you go to Amazon.com, type in Tom Zeeb, you'll find a copy of my best-selling book, How to Correctly Flip Houses for Profit. This walks you through my formula for not just wholesaling, because it really doesn't matter which exit strategy you're doing, whether you want to rehab, whether you want to wholesale, whether you want to buy and hold as a classic rental, an Airbnb, or do commercial, it doesn't matter. The beginning process of finding a deal, negotiating that deal, making into a deal, and getting paid is all the same. So that's what this book walks you through. Go to Amazon.com. You can grab a hard copy, you can grab a Kindle copy, or you can even grab an audio copy as well. Also, Traction REIA has an app. The app is, if you have your phone, you can point the camera at the screen, grab the QR code, or just go to tractionrea.com/app, and everything Traction is on this app. So all of our daily email trainings, all of lots of different video trainings, our calendar, all of our upcoming events, a bunch of freebies, and we like to do some app-only bonuses that come up from time to time as well. So go ahead, if you're an iPhone user or an Android user, we have the app ready and waiting for you. Go to tractionrea.com/app, or just point your phone camera at that screen, and then the magic of technology will take care of the rest of it.
Darren
Awesome.
has a fix.
Darren has a fix. What is it?
So go to, and this is a free PDF PowerPoint lesson.
All right.
Go under on the menu ribbon that says slideshow, turn off use timings.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can do that. The thing is, all these things are covered by my Zoom controls. Use timings. All right. Well, forget that.
Shut up.
Timings.
Turn off.
Turn off. I think we're good there. All right. That's it. Is that the only thing there? Cool. Now,
Thank you, Darren.
let's go back. Thanks, Darren. Appreciate that. Always good to have people that quickly know what they're doing in the house. So we did the Facebook group. We did that. We did that. We did that. Cool. All right. Success stories. If you have a success story, either from the last meeting you've attended or let's say in the last month or two, go ahead and pop that, raise your hand, and then we'll take you off of mute. Carolina, help me look for raised hands because I don't always get to see them that easily. So if you have a deal, you are welcome to announce it, and we're going to celebrate it. Something cool. A success story. Sorry, deal makers will be next. Success story from the last meeting. Some of you I know told me offline if you'd love to share it. Like I'm sure Jessie has a deal because she usually does. Sam, you guys usually have success stories as well. I keep saying deals. Done deals are success stories. Horace, I think, has something going. So if you guys would like to speak up, that would be fantastic. Or everybody's being shy today.
I'm happy to speak up.
All right, good, Sam. I didn't think you were a shy guy. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, well, we had a nice one on Summit. We got that. It was in Alexandria, Virginia. We got it through an estate, and the agent brought it to us, a guy that we've worked with previously, and he had both sides of the deal. The estate was really happy because we waited them out, a long time for them to process everything, but we were the buyer, and they got to see the property after it was fixed up, and they really enjoyed that. And he sold it. We had him do the listing, even though we have a brokerage. We had him do the listing, and he sold it with 2 cash offers within 5 days. So we took the first cash offer, and it closed in 10 days. So it worked out wonderfully. So that, I think, was a win. We had a nice turn there.
Excellent. What was the turn? How much did it wind up going for?
Give me just a second.
Sure.
It was decent, but I'll need a moment to look.
I got you. I always do the same thing. I have too many numbers floating around in my head. I get them confused easy.
Someone else can jump in while I do my research over here.
Gotcha. All right. Sam's looking up the numbers. Who else has something? Claude, do you have a deal? Who else has a deal going? Success stories. That's what I mean. A deal that's closed. It's like the weird brain dyslexia today. Sam, if you're ready, go for it. I've got shy people today. Nobody wants to speak up. That's all right. All right, Sam, if you don't find it, I'm also going to move.
All right, move on.
Yep. Hang on, because now I'm clicking. I got my screens. You guys can't see. I got my screens too big and I can't see. Deal makers. Does anyone have a deal they want to announce? Because I keep saying deals anyway. So a deal that you need a buyer for, or maybe you're trying to raise money for, or you're looking for some sort of real estate deal that's legitimate, that you have under control, or that you own, that you are trying to do. This is an opportunity to have a living, breathing buyers list in front of you.
City number.
Yes, this is a members only section. So if you are a Traction REIA member, this is a benefit, and you can go ahead and unmute and speak up. Claude has raised his hand. Go for it, Claude.
Just the way you said it made me realize I do have something to speak about.
Yeah,
I have a builder who has a lot of experience building, and he's got a multi-unit that he needs about 400,000 for. Very willing to talk about all sorts of different terms in terms of if we're going to do an equity share on the back side, just a straight interest on the front side, whatever. It's a really nice deal. Here it's in Rockville, Maryland, walking distance to the metro station. And I'm ready to sell the houses. I want to sell, but he needs a bit more money to break ground. He's got all his permits, which is kind of all backwards. But this would be just like money in the bank because these things would fly off the shelves.
So you are specifically looking for investors that want to invest in his building properties near a metro station.
That's correct. He owns the property. He's got the permits ready. He just needs more cash to get ready and then go to the bank and say, here, give me my construction loan, let's go.
Okay.
We've spoken to a couple of banks. They just need to have him put his capital down so they can say, yeah, here we go. And he's just shy of the capital.
Okay. Do you know what kind of return people will make if they invest?
I don't know. I've thrown him a couple numbers. I think as the months go by, he's getting more flexible. He didn't want to pay top of the market. On the other hand, I'm telling him, like, you're just holding this. What are you doing, dude? And don't want to tell you you're getting older, but it was 2-3 months ago we started talking about this and nothing's happened. So maybe you're being a bit too hard on what you're asking for.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, Claude, your numbers.
He actually got an appraisal done for the value of the property as it is and as it will be. So he's done his work. He just needs the money to get it done.
Okay, that makes sense. I know your number is on the screen, but if you could say it out loud, that'd be great.
Sure, in case someone's driving, right? 703-868-7774.
One more time.
703-868-7774.
And that's Claude Labbe, which is spelled like Claude Lab.
Yeah.
There's also Claude@labbe.com. I know
Just
that.
put his info in the chat.
Oh, good. And thank you. Carolina popped it in the chat for you as well.
Thanks,
And
sir.
I'm
Thanks,
back.
Claude. Sam, go for
numbers.
it.
Okay.
What are your numbers?
So October 13th, 23, we bought this property for $425. We
Okay.
paid cash.
Okay.
And so we were all in at about $430.
Okay.
And we put approximately $100,000 into it
Okay.
to get out the door. And we sold it on January 26th for $695. And we netted $657 at the closing, giving us about $127,000 profit.
Ah, love those numbers.
Yeah, those were really good numbers, like the old days, you might say. But
Yeah.
certainly that worked out well.
Well,
It was a pretty fast turn too, right? November,
That's a very
December,
fast
January,
turn.
3 months.
yeah, and 5 days on the market. That's cash offers. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing, Sam. I'm gonna digress slightly because it sounds like the good old days. Yes, it does. I mean, so things are changing, but does that mean that everything from the good old days is gone?
Yeah, it feels like
No,
everything from
right?
the good old days is gone, but maybe
Yeah.
not. I mean, this relationship we had with a long-term friend and realtor, I mean, it pays off. We're helping him right now. He's buying a flip for himself, and he's seen us flip, and now he wants to flip, and that works out well.
Yeah.
So he's helped us. He's got 3 sides of that deal. I mean, he didn't do badly with 3 commissions, 2 on 425 and 1 on 695.
Yeah, the commissions added up nicely too.
Yeah, they did, right? I mean, he didn't have any risk exposure, and he made 3 commissions in 3 months.
Yeah. So
Not
it's
bad.
win-win all the way around. Yeah, my point there is, people, if it's not going to work anymore, why should I learn real estate investing? It does work. Look at that.
It
Look at
still
that.
works. Still
Stay-
works.
yes,
I mean,
stay-
even if that was the only
Stay on
deal
your toes.
we did this year, when I first started working many years ago, I'd have been so happy to make that much money in 3 years.
Yes.
So
I know. I was thinking of that the other. It was funny because my son mentioned something last night, and he went, "Wait a minute, how much?" He goes, "What did you make in your first job, Daddy?" I was like, not anywhere close to that, son.
you couldn't buy like a Camry now for what I made my first job.
No, that's just it.
First year.
It's a good business we're in. All right, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll have you back in a minute when we do sponsors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, all right, let's see. I'm gonna move out of the way. Let Carolina come in. Would you want your own chair? Or do you want my crazy chair? Okay. People don't know what the crazy chair is. I'm gonna lift it up. This is what I sit on, and that way, it fixed my lower back in like 3 days of using the chair. But my lower back doesn't crack anymore. So that was the best thing for me last. Anyway, so she's gonna sit like she's riding a horse in the crazy chair. Come on over.
Is this when you say you sit on the saddle?
Yeah,
Where
it's
you
like being
sit
in the
down?
saddle. Look at that. Sit tall in the saddle.
Hello, people. I saw a bunch of you at the DC Beer and Real Estate last month, and it was awesome. It was great to see some of you, some people that I haven't seen in 10 years. They come back to Traction, so they know we're there. We will always be there for you. Like, cheers, right? Like the
Oh, yeah.
cheers, where everybody knows your name. Yeah, that's us. Okay. How about we say thank you to all our volunteers, our ambassadors, for both regions. Crystal, Claude, Ginny, Dwayne, and Jesse. Thank you so much for everything you do for Traction. This is a really cool photo that we took at the December event in Home Depot. And this is us, right? The Traction family, Claude, Crystal, me, and Dwayne. Okay, so if you are joining us for the first time and you're wondering what's Traction, we are the only approved chapter for the National Real Estate Investors Association in the territories of the DC area that covers the entire districts, Southern Maryland and Northern Virginia. We are also the only chapter for the regions of Tampa and Sarasota. So the cool side of Florida, if you've never been on this side, is really cool. We love it. Last year we won the Award of Excellence again. And yes, we love to brag because guess what? The past, how many years now? 15 years, no.
Since 2009?
Yeah, because Tommy was born 2009, so yeah, and he's 15.
Woohoo.
Woohoo! So yeah, we brag, but we love these photos because this is a really true motivation for us to give you the best, to give you resources, tools, networking, keep you updated on everything, including legislation, like Tom mentioned. We love to activate our connections in terms of when a crazy bill wants to pass or when crazy things want to happen, we want to be there for you. And we also continue to work with National REIA and Home Depot to continue to provide those amazing benefits, which I'll be talking very shortly. And I always say, we just didn't take 15 photos. These are real, real presidents of National REIA giving awards. Okay, how about we talk about our sponsors? We've always have Specialized Trust as one of our sponsors. They have been with us since the beginning. They are the place to go to when it comes to self-directed IRAs and 401ks, not only because they provide the services, because they also hold your hand, they give you education, they really walk you through all the processes, what you have to do, what you avoid, what should avoid, and how to get your accounts growing. So if you have not heard of them, this is new to you, then please keep this name in your mind, and you're gonna meet Edwin later on because he's our guest speaker. So from now on, if you think self-directed IRA, just look for Specialized Trust. And Tom, if you can put their information on the chat. If you go to my newsletter on the PDF, super easy to copy and paste. Don't you love it? Very simple instructions. Hello, Claude. I'm gonna put you back in here. And tell us about you.
Hi, so some of you know me in person, some of you met me in the breakout room. I'm a realtor here in the DMV area, in the DC area, and I got into the business years ago to help investors because whenever I was trying to buy my next investment, the realtor was just telling me about how cute the kitchen was, and I didn't care if it was all about returns. And investors, as you know, there's a whole different landscape of what investing's all about. And so based on what your goal is, we look at different properties and see how you can get to what you're trying to get, or decide the property you're working on doesn't make sense and you should just not make an offer and move on. I help people make sense for what the values are right now and what the values will be when they're done. Back to you,
Awesome.
Carolina.
Thank you, Claude. And Tom will put your information on the chat as well. And now, after we have, say, clear sky, let's have Sam back again.
Hi, I'm Sam. Charlie's usually on these, but he's not available this evening, so I'm standing in. We are business partners and have been doing hard money lending for 10 years and real estate deals together for about 22 years or something like that. So we bring hard money lending to Maryland, Virginia, DC, Florida, Delaware, And with that, we bring our experience of flipping houses and hope to be able to share that and support folks who need loans.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thanks.
And Tom is gonna include your information on the chat.
Thank you.
Okay. We have not a new sponsor, but a sponsor that I want you to now have in your radar. Some of you might have heard of 1031 exchange. It's a really cool technique that all investors could use. So if you haven't heard of it, I want you to start getting familiar with it. And then I want you to understand that in order to do a transaction like the 1031 exchange, you need an intermediary. Oh my God, what is that word to me? How can I say intermediary? Ooh, see, I don't speak English, but I do a lot of deals in real estate. Anyway, Accts is a fantastic sponsor. It's I'm not gonna say a 1031 exchange provider. I'm gonna change the word. Sorry. So I want you to now have them on your radar. They are part of the National REIA as well. And Tom is going to include their information on our chat. And they're going to be actually more involved with traction. They're going to come to the DC event next month. They're going to give us more resources and information because you all need to understand how you can use a 1031 exchange, which basically is if you have an investment property and you want to sell it, the moment you sell it, you're going to get hit with taxes, right? So instead of doing that, from that sale, you're going to buy a replacement property, kind of the same level, the same requirements, and put it on the new investment. So in order to do that, you need someone like Accts. So keep that in your radar now. We also have Deal Machine, one of our favorite sponsors. They are a software that will help you look for deals, find more leads, and we have a really special deal with them, a really good pricing deal with them. So you should take a look at them. You can have a 7-day free trial. Check them out. Go to tractionrea.com/deal-machine. So these are all resources for you to get your marketing going, to your deals going. And then when you're starting getting all those leads and deals, then you know where to go and who can guide you and help you. Now let's talk about Home Depot. They are one of our, if not our biggest sponsor, because Traction as a group, both DC and the Florida region, we spent over 40 million with them, just us. So imagine those numbers. That's why they love us and we love them. So I'm going to go real quickly and explain how the benefits work at the Home Depot. Once you join Traction, you're going to get access to the following benefits. 20% off paint, liquid paint. Doesn't matter if you buy 1 gallon, 10 gallons, Behr, PPG, primer. It does not matter what you buy. You always get 20% off paint. You're going to get exclusive benefit, which is 10% of cabinets. They have a really good partnership with Woodmark. They are always at our events in DC and in Sarasota. So that's a benefit to you. The big one, the 2% cash back. Whatever you spend January to June each year, they're going to send you 2% of that. And July to December, they'll send you another 2%. So that's beautiful. Even if you're not a huge developer, things that you purchase at the Home Depot, they will count towards that rebate. And in general, they're going to start looking at you differently. I want you to go to the Pro Desk and tell them that you're part of Traction, give them your phone number, and they're going to see that you are part of this big group that spends so much money. And trust me, they're going to look at you with different eyes. They're going to give you better discounts. It will depend on what you're buying, where you are buying it, and what discounts they're running. So it's important that you start that relationship with your Pro Desk at your local Home Depot. This is Dominic, and he's always asking, have you registered for the rebate? There's a special process that you have to do. Very simple, but I need you to make sure that you're properly registered. Once you join Traction, you're going to start getting these emails from Home Depot. especially just for you. And this is where you're going to be getting all the benefits and all the discounts. The big question is, will you receive the rebate? We just finished the second half of 2023. So at this moment, Home Depot is looking at all the rebates that will be issued to you. I'll say that again. They're ready to mail you those rebates. But before they do, they're going to check with me and they're going to ask me the first question. Is your Traction REIA membership current? They're going to ask me, is this person an active member? I will say yes or no. I will send you reminders. I'll call you. I'll send you postcards. I'll do everything so you maintain your REIA membership active. If you are not sure, please email me, Carolina, that's like North or South Carolina, Carolina @tractionrea.com, and say, am I a current Traction member? If the answer is yes, then the next question I'm going to ask you is, did you spend at least $5,000 between July and December of last year? If you say yes, then I'll ask you the third question. Did you probably register and enroll all your accounts in the Pro Extra website? If you say yes, then you are getting your rebate. Woo. Fantastic. Congratulations. Any questions related to this, send me an email and I'll be happy to help you out. These are other providers, other benefits to you. This is all on our website. Office Depot, now the new brand ODP. I keep saying Office Depot, but they're now co-branding with ODP. In general, you're going to get good discounts. FedEx, the same. They're going to give you discounts. I always say, whatever you save here, put it on your marketing. This is how our membership website looks. You're going to have every single member benefit, Home Depot, Office Max, because if you didn't understand my lovely Colombian accent, then you can just go here and it's in plain English and it tells you step by step all the benefits that you get. We also have attorneys and accountants. We have more info for you, training videos, even a rehab project budget. So there's a lot of things for you in there. And we also have a membership card. Every time you attend a DC event, Sarasota event, online event, we're going to give you a stamp. So at the end of tonight, you're going to just put on your card the date and you will be virtually stamped. If you haven't joined Traction yet, very simple, tractionrea.com. Join now. Once you click on the level, it's going to ask you, are you in the DC region? Are you in Florida? Or are you online? You select that. And then you're in. The moment you click, you get emails and welcome and then access to the website. As Tom was mentioning, in 2024, we're going to have a new format. We're going to have in-person events, about 4 or 5 events a year. We just have one in January 25th, and it was fantastic. We will also continue to have online events like this one. So stay updated, always on our website, has what we're doing every single month. This is our Beer and Real Estate format. In DC is at Caboose. In Fairfax, the next one coming up is March 14th. And the list of events is listed on the newsletter that we sent. Maybe we can send the link again, Tom, for the newsletter so you have all the details. And then we are doing an in-person event coming up March 16th. This is a really cute and cool gringo on the screen. His name is Tom, and he's married to a really, really beautiful and cool Colombiana. He's going to be teaching you marketing, negotiation, anything you need to find the deal, make the deal, and get paid. So that's March 16th at in Fairfax, Virginia. It's a 4-year in Fairfax, so easy to get to. If you're ready to register for that one, go to tractionrea.com/March 2024. And it's going to be an all-day workshop, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's going to be fantastic. So if you're in the DC area or if you're in Florida or anywhere else and you want to fly and meet Tom in person, go do it. This is right after the March 14th Beer and Real Estate. So that's a very busy weekend for our DC friends. Okay, Claude, I think now is your turn to do the market update, right?
Okay.
We're gonna switch seats with Tom.
I'll launch it on the screen.
Okay. Bye, people.
Low tech shift coming back. All right. Hey, all right. There we go.
That's real old school, isn't it?
Yeah, very old school. So let's see here. Screen's not being shared anymore, right? Claude, your presentation coming right up. This is totally nationwide. If you notice, Traction's focus is basically nationwide. I told you within our specific areas, we're able to do local networking events. That is because those are also our legislative areas responsibilities as a partnership with the national REIA. So we take care of things at federal level legislation, but then also Virginia, Maryland, DC, Florida, and all the local areas around there as well. So but with Claude's market updates, when they are online, we'd like them to be focused on nationwide, so they're useful to everybody, no matter where you are coming in from. So this one, February, is our traditional the design event. So we're going to be talking about design. What are the trends in design so that you can maximize your money on rehabs and shorten the length of time they sell in, make sure they're super stylish and up to date. And the same thing when you're making your rentals look nice, your Airbnbs look super stylish so that they rent faster than anyone else's, better than anyone else's, for higher dollar than anyone else's. So Claude, take it away. When you need the slide advanced, just say so and I will do it.
Okay, let's ping. So you're right, Tom. You took my first slide talk, because think of this, the mindset you're going through as you watch this is you're a flipper and you're trying to figure out what do I need to do, or you're a seller and you're trying to figure out how do I need to make my place look nice. Whether you're selling, whether you're renting, that's the mindset I want you to have. And as we go through this, there are some of these things that you may not agree with, and there's some I may not agree with either. So this is not gospel truth. But let's go next slide, Tom. There's a lot of text on these slides. The text doesn't matter. I just want you to get the visuals. At the last slide, you'll have the link to the presentation if you want it. And if that doesn't work, email me. I'll send it to you directly. So just understand, I'm trying to get you to look at the visuals. If you start trying to read the words, it'll blow your head up. This is from the firm I used to work with, Arla, which does a great job with these. And this year, it's going to be, a lot of this is going to be very, very textual. You'll see that it doesn't necessarily always convey well in the photograph, because of the very nature of what we're trying to bring forward this year as the trendsetters of society right now. Next slide, Tom. So firstly, we're trying to get away from modern. We're going back to me, like this looks like mid-century last time, right? Lots of curves. Everything is sort of everything is soft. I think soft will be one of the themes as we go through here. The other one will be bold. Next slide, Tom. What? No. Yeah. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, just like that. So the one on the left, if you've ever toured a home with me, you know how I feel about these range hoods, these over-the-top range hoods. You know, if this is your kitchen and you want to do this for your kitchen, go for it. I gotta tell you though, if you're trying to do this for a home you're trying to market, I would probably be a bit more cautious of this. Yeah, there's some really nice hoods, but there's a difference between really nice and over the top, very, very unique. So be very careful with range hoods. To me, I would not necessarily follow that one. Utility room, you know, as homes tend to get even larger homes, everyone needs more space. Everyone needs more storage space. Using your utility space to be very useful to a multitude of potential buyers or renters is really, really smart. And so really think out how to use that space. Utility rooms are almost like premium space if you think about how to use them. It's like a kitchen. You don't ever want to waste space in a kitchen. You don't ever want to waste space in a utility room. I think be smart about that. It will make a big difference in your buyer's perception. Next slide, Tom. We talked about bold. We're gonna see colors all the way through. Everything is bold. And as I went through this, I was like, yeah, I mean, raise your hand if you agree with me, but if you're a flipper or a seller, bold white sure still works. They don't use white to this presentation, but I see so many homes where you almost can't go wrong with white. Yeah, the trendsetters are telling us to do something other than white, but yeah, so I understand. But however, color does work, and even with color drenching, right? Even if you're going to do a white kitchen, think about using like a dark green or a dark blue offset, whether it be in your counter space or the island. That really makes your kitchen space pop. Browns are coming back. I'm not a fan of brown, but maybe I'll be wrong. But just understand that it's there. And again, we're talking about just very, very rich browns here. Next slide, Tom. We just spoke about using your utility space well. The same is true with kitchens, and I swear to God, half of the people on here are women, I'm sure. And not to be stereotypical genderizing people, but so many women will go through homes with me and say, you know what, whoever designed this home has never spent an hour in the kitchen preparing a meal. Think about how really use the space in the kitchen, not to show, but use the space in the kitchen to actually be very, very useful. I think that makes a big difference in whether your house gets sold or whether it lays on the market for another 2 weeks. So be smart about how you use your kitchen. If you go to Home Depot, they will spend hours with you designing exactly the right way to have your kitchen done. Biophiles are people who like books. And I kind of thought this was maybe not kind of strange, but I would say about a month ago, I actually heard someone give an entire talk on how we as a society are going back to books. Not just Kindles, but actually reading and feeling a book. There was something sensual, for lack of a better word, with books that people are trying to get back to as we sort of come back to a comfort. And so homes that have spaces for people who have books rather than putting the books in your utility room, right? So think about how to showcase that little space in the top of the hallway you don't know how to use, that becomes your book space. Next slide, Tom. Cozy luxury. When I see, I think that probably half of you are realtors here, right? When we hear the word cozy, we really think, oh, little space, tiny space. So that kind of, not sure that's where I'd use, but have the homes you're selling convey a sense of being more than. So make the person who's buying or renting feel special because of what you've done to the house. You don't have to spend $20,000 to give a luxury feel, but at times just being smart. And if you don't have a style sense, have a good friend or girlfriend or your wife who does, have her help you figure out how to really just make the kitchen, the bathroom, the floors, the windows, something just pop. Sometimes it's the front walkway to the home. A lot of times from the time you get out of the car to the time you get to the front door, you've either sold the home or you've not sold the home. And to me, at times that's almost just luxury too. Textiles, again, we're talking, as we did with books a few minutes ago here, texture and things are becoming important and you don't necessarily see this in the photograph, right? But the way wall coverings, hard surfaces, texture. I was in a home last week where the entire house was not sheetrock. It was like popcorn ceiling, but on the walls. And I thought, wow, that's kind of wild. But you know what? People like texture right now. Next slide, Tom. Metals. I don't know that I would necessarily agree with metals as one of the ways to go, but if I'm gonna go all in on my textures and different textures and things and different ways to highlight and accent things, metals is a way to do it. Statement floors. This is a great way to not spend much money to have a big oomph because I wouldn't say do a statement floor for your entire home, right? But statement floors in your hallways, your entryways, your utility rooms, your bathrooms can really give a house a unique feel that sets it apart, which again is how you get your buyers and your renters. Next slide, John. Layered lighting. Lighting, yeah, I think we've done these design trends probably for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Lighting comes in every time. Understand that, sure, the floor plan, the appliance choice, the color choice, that's important, but the way you use lighting also really makes the home look different and look more inviting, and the buyer can see themselves using the home as it's built. Next slide, Tom. Murals and wallpaper. I'm not sure about this one. I almost want to do a show of hands, because I feel like maybe I'm going to grandma's home. Maybe murals and wallpaper will work. It may work, I would think, on certain walls in certain rooms. I would be very cautious with this, because it can either really help you, but could also really be used against you. I've been through many homes with buyers with wallpaper, and it's kind of a 180, we're out of the house. Next slide, Tom. Sustainable landscaping. I think of who the buyer is. The buyer, especially if they're younger or older, on both ends of the extremes, effectively, really do care about the sustainability of the home, the planet, and that includes landscaping. We're not talking total solar here and like that, but make sure that, and even here in the DC area where that's not such a big concern, right? Make sure that the landscaping you have shows off the home is native landscaping, easy to use. I've got a home right now on the market, and I'm selling the landscaping in the gardens and the house, and it's a beautiful home. It's a newer home, but really the outside really speaks to some people. Some people will buy based on the outside, not the inside. And the other side here is, if you've got a smaller outdoor space, you can make it look so much more useful and friendly and inviting, but almost making it an interior space by how you landscape. Next slide, Tom. Neutrals for the exterior. Neutrals, I would still say yes, neutrals, and we're still seeing a lot of black in DC, black accents. So neutrals, yes, but you can pop that out a bit. Stacked tile, a couple slides ago, we talked about different finishes, right? That also goes to tile. Using tile differently and using tile to highlight an accent. If you do it right, will really help your home. Don't go crazy with patterns and colors. We're good, Tom. You're following the natural cadence. Okay, so I know this says top 12 paint colors, and you're going to see 15 colors. The prior presentation was the Arla presentation, where they have their 3 paint colors, and then went to Good Housekeeping for their 12 colors. And if you remember when we started talking, we talked about bold and rich. So let's go, Tom. These are the colors of the year, according to the industry leaders. It's bold peach, right? It's bold peach. Almost neutral. I would argue all 3 of these are neutral colors. And I would probably think, especially upward, I would think the Sherwin-Williams color, I think, will be really strong this year. Next, Tom. Then this is Good Housekeeping. Don't worry about the text, but look at these colors, right? Each of these colors will, that's not just a green. That's a real rich green. Even the neutrals, it's flood the space with a color. Next slide, Tom. Again, no crazy colors here, right? Reds and greens, very, very, you can't go wrong colors here. Even the paint is sort of it's not the Barbie paint. Please do not. I know Barbie's big. She's not big she's not big in the real estate market right now. Next slide, Tom. And again, yeah, I think greens and blues are coming pretty strong. Couple different shades of the red thing, if you will. And black. If you're gonna do black, I still think in the DMV anyway, and I realize it's not true across the country, but in the DMV, we're still seeing a lot of black. It's usually even stronger than the soft black, and we're seeing so much white, just so much white. I think next slide, Tom, is the conclusion. Right, go for one more, and that should be the link to the presentation from Arla. Any other questions, reach out to Carolina or myself, we'll get you the presentation. Thank you so much, and back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Claude. I'll tell you, every year, everyone's got their own style. Sometimes I go, fascinating. I wonder if that's really going to stick, or if I'm going to go, man, that place looks so 2024. Remember when they were doing that with the green? Or remember when it was all that crazy tile? I don't know. Sometimes I think too bold. Again, I think you said it best. You want to go too bold and it's your own house. Hey, more power to you. But to sell a place, you might kind of turn people off. I guess it also depends when you've kind of come of age, I suppose. It might be the right thing. 'Cause do you want to buy something that looks like a grandparent's house? Do you want to buy something that looks maybe too young, too old? I don't know.
Yeah, the range hoods, please don't do that. Please just don't do that, right? The range hoods don't do that, and I don't want to see another White House, but I know that the next White House will sell. So
Yeah, I mean, white is there are certain things that are just classic. And I love black accents. I think it works perfect when you, particularly the window frames,
Yeah. I'm not sure if that works across the entire US though. Like, would you do black accents in Florida?
not always modern enough. To me, there's still a bit of foo-foo 80s Italian is the look here.
Oh.
Where DC's got the more stately, classy federal
Yeah.
townhouses. But you go other parts of the country, you get more of a craftsman look. So yeah, you gotta tweak the national trends. And there's national trends and international trends in color, but you got to tweak them to what your own market, what your own kind of sense of things says. So, you can look at what's selling, but you also have to assume that that was kind of, most of those decisions were made a year ago.
Right, that's
That
correct,
was-
yeah.
That was so 2023 rather than 2024. But style is always one of those things that's a little bit hard to pin down sometimes. I like things kind of hyper modern. I think you keep it crisp and clean and neutral, then you don't really offend anyone and it doesn't go out of date very soon. But it's interesting that some of that very kind of hyper modern, very kind of Scandinavian or Japanese looking modern, their ideas of modern tend to, maybe it is aging out a little bit, but
Yeah.
I still like it, but maybe I'm aging out a little bit. Can't say that's not happening. You
Yeah.
never.
Stay middle of the road, you'll be better off.
Yeah, I think it's wise words. But yeah, so some of the crazy cabinet colors. I mean, cabinet doors, you can always change them out, but it's not the cheapest thing. I mean, paint is a lot easier to do. So you want to, I don't know, play it cool on that, pun intended. So thanks, Claude.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All righty, now let's find Edwin Kelly. I know he's around here somewhere. Edwin, there you are.
I'm
Look
right
at-
here, brother.
Hello, good to see you. I think I got you on the
See you.
spotlight. That is awesome. Looking sharp. Good to see somebody's ahead of me in terms of hair loss, so that's good. The back of my head looks like your entire head now. That's great.
Well, you only see you from the front on Zoom, brother. I mean,
I know.
Everything on Zoom from this point
Yeah,
forward. Nobody knows if you don't tell them.
Exactly. Not enough light in the
I
reflection.
can't hide it anymore. You're right.
I applaud you for just giving in and going with it. That's good. I'm still in various phases of denial. It's good. All right. So everybody, all joking aside, the Edwin is here for one super duper important reason. There are not many gifts that Uncle Sam, our federal government, has ever given to us, but one of those gifts are self-directed retirement accounts, specifically the Roth and some of the other cool types of self-directed accounts that Edwin is going to be talking about. If you learn to use these things right, and I say you got to learn it, and obviously got to learn it right because it's federal, so there's a lot of regulation. But you got to learn it because it's not obvious to most people. Most people don't know you can do all this. Everyone assumes, oh yeah, you can buy stocks in there, but you can buy precious metals, but you can do real estate deals inside of these accounts. And when the accounts are right, you can be doing your deals tax-free. So kind of the exact same deals we teach you how to do throughout the year here. But if you do them inside of these accounts that Edwin's going to teach you about this evening, well, suddenly everything changes because you're saving a huge amount of loss. Taxes are devastating to us. No matter how you feel about what taxes get used for, the fact that that's your money that you otherwise would have that could be growing, that gets taken away from you. And now you don't get the benefit of that growing for yourself, except you can spin all of that around by using self-directed retirement accounts correctly. This is something that Edwin taught me, geez, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I met Edwin even before, when I was just a Traction REIA member, before I was of president as well. And so this is something I really want you guys to pay attention to, share with you. I want you guys to learn this and use this because it's that important. So that's why we're having Edwin here this evening. So Edwin Kelly, take it away.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure. Hold on, let me find. There we go.
I've had all sorts of tech gremlins tonight, so let's see what. Hey, look at that! I see your entire screen. That's awesome.
All right, you see that?
I do.
Everybody got it?
Yep, all set.
Good. Okay.
Good to go.
Perfect. Okay, so I titled tonight's presentation, How to Scale Your Wealth and Scale Your Business with Self-Directed IRAs. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at two sides of the same coin. So one side of the self-directed IRA coin is using our own account to build wealth for ourselves and our family. The other side of that coin has nothing to do with our own accounts. It can, but not typically. What it has to do with is for those of you who are part-time real estate investors, getting started, full-time real estate investors, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, right, we all need capital and access to capital to do more deals, to buy more real estate, to fund the operations of our business, or to start one up. And so the other side of that coin is that you can use other people's retirement accounts as private money for all of those things, right? So we're going to look at it from two sides. Now, I want to highlight something that Tom said, and it's not his comments about my lack of hair these days, okay? What it is about is he used a word, it's called how to use these accounts. So just as a way of introduction, I got off a phone call today with one of my staff members. We had a client with a very sizable account. And she had opened this account, and this is not uncommon in the industry. And this is the big challenge with self-directing is she had this account. She's been a client for a little while, and she hadn't done anything with the account. And so she was thinking about leaving the company. And so we ended up offering her some resources, which I'm going to share with you right now. And she went from almost giving up on self-directing to thinking this is the greatest thing in the world. And what made the difference is the fact that she actually learned and was given the resources to use the self-directed accounts, okay? So my focus is actually on achieving results. And so tonight, what I want to do is actually give you the easy button to self-directing, okay? So that's what this is going to be all about. Now, I always like to begin by setting expectations. So I'll tell you what you can expect, and I'll tell you what not to expect from me, all right? So let's start with what not to expect. What not to expect. I'm not going to give you any tax advice, legal advice, or investment advice. This is for educational purposes only. Now, having said that, when you implement the education that I share with you tonight, it will have far-reaching impact on your future financial legacy, okay? So that's what it's really all about. So let's talk about this. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it very simple. And I learned a long time ago, my grandmother used to accuse me of being a simpleton, which I always took as a compliment. I don't know that she intended it that way, but that's what my grandmother told me. So we're going to make this super simple because I've learned when things are super simple, when I can kind of dumb it down for myself, I can easily implement things. And that's what we want to do. We want to implement. So I'm going to answer a few questions, and then you're free to ask me anything you want. I'll answer all of your questions. That's my commitment to you. So anything you want to ask about, feel free. If you want to dive deeper into any of these topics, ask away. So what is self-directing exactly? We're going to answer that question. Why are people choosing to self-direct in larger and larger numbers? What is a self-directed custodian, and how does a self-directed custodian help you scale your wealth or scale your business, right? Depending upon which approach you're taking, and we'll get into a lot more than that. So let's start with this. What is a self-directed IRA? There's only really two components or two parts to self-directing. If we want to make this super simple, there's only two things, okay? So what you see here is a Ferrari. A Ferrari is a vehicle. So when I say self-directed IRA, what I want you to remember, what I want you to think about is this Ferrari, because a self-directed IRA is a vehicle. Now, I could put any vehicle on the screen to represent a self-directed IRA, but I use a Ferrari for a very specific reason. Actually, I use it for two very specific reasons. First and foremost, what does a Ferrari do? It gets places faster than other cars, right? That's what it does. And that's essentially what a self-directed IRA does. It helps us get from one point to another point a lot quicker. So when I say self-directed IRA, I want you to think about this vehicle, because that's what a self-directed IRA is. It's a vehicle that transports us from one point to another. The point that we're headed, the point that we want to go, that's where it's going to move us. But there's another part to make that Ferrari work, right? There's something you have to put in that Ferrari for that Ferrari to go. We need to put gas in the car, right? We've got to have fuel. Now, can you put any kind of fuel in that car? Absolutely not. If you put low-grade gas in that car will not perform, and it will develop all kinds of problems over time, okay? So we need the right kind of fuel. We need high-octane fuel. So what's the fuel that goes inside the self-directed IRA? That's the investments, right? It's the investments you put in there. It's the real estate, it's the notes, it's the mortgages. So all we're really talking about at the end of the day are two simple things. We're talking about a vehicle, which is the IRA, and we're talking about the fuel, which is the investment that goes inside it. And when you bring those two things together, okay, that's where the magic happens. So that's what a self-directed IRA is. Let me give you a little bit more specific definition, because I'm sure you would like that. So what is a self-directed IRA? Now, this is my definition of a self-directed IRA, okay? A self-directed IRA is an IRS-approved vehicle that allows you and I to get complete control over our retirement account, over the money in our retirement account, invest in anything allowed by the government, which is virtually everything, believe it or not, and make money protected from income tax and capital gains tax. Since we just took our largest expense of investing out of the equation, that allows our money to grow exponentially faster and larger. And in many cases, what I'm going to show you how to do is how to spend every single dollar you make from that point forward 100% tax-free. If you have a rental portfolio inside that IRA that spins off $10,000 a month in income, you will be able to spend every single penny of that $10,000. You won't give a dime of it to the federal government, to the state government, or your local government. That is a self-directed IRA. Okay, so let's talk about why people self-direct retirement accounts. Well, I'll say it this way. It protects us from numerous things. The big one that everybody thinks about, the big one everybody talks about, are taxes. In fact, it's the only one that most people have any familiarity with. But there's actually a list of benefits that you get by using a retirement account. So taxes is one, and I'll spend a little bit more time illustrating how that works for you. Okay, the second one, protection from creditors and attorneys. Now, I'm going to make a general statement here. Generally speaking, your retirement accounts are judgment-proof in all 50 states. What does that mean to us? If you ever had to file personal bankruptcy, as an example, the court cannot attach a judgment to any asset owned by or inside of your retirement account. If you had a business failure, the court cannot attach a judgment to any asset owned inside of your retirement account. If you were tried and convicted of a criminal offense, the court can take your life, but they can't take your retirement account. Now, that doesn't seem right, but that's the way it works. Retirement accounts protect us from probate. IRAs have baked into them the cheapest, easiest estate planning protection money can buy. Because what happens is when we pass, those accounts bypass probate and go directly to the heir, directly to your beneficiary. Self-directed accounts protect us from higher fees. Most people don't know what they pay for their retirement accounts or the investments in them when they have them at a bank or a brokerage. But here's what I can tell you is that, again, generally speaking, when people move their account from a bank or a brokerage into a self-directed retirement account, they save 1/3 to 1/2 on fees just by making that simple move, right? So self-directed IRAs are very affordable. It also helps us protect us from uncertainty. And this is referring to investments, right? Nobody knows what the stock market is going to do tomorrow. Nobody knows what it's going to do a week from now. And this is the big challenge because I have these conversations virtually every single day. And people, even when the market is up now, I get calls from people saying, hey, look, I need to move my money because I just got back to where I was after the last correction. And at my age now, I can't afford another reset. I can't afford to go back, right? So I need to invest my money in things that are more predictable, certain, and secure. So those are some of the benefits, and these are the reasons why people are moving more and more and more into a self-directed environment. Next question, how do I self-direct an account, right? So if you've heard anything about self-directing and you haven't done it yourself yet, one of the things that you will hear along the way is, well, self-directing is complicated. You'll typically hear that from banker brokerages who don't want you to move your money into a self-directed account. But you will hear that, you could hear that from time to time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you through the self-directing process. This is literally how you self-direct a retirement account. It's 3 steps. I call it my triple D process, 3 Ds. And I even have a bonus D in here for you. So the first D is to decide. What do you need to decide? Well, it could actually look like a number of things. You could decide that nobody cares more about your money or your financial future or your family's financial future than you. So you want to take control over it. You are the best steward of your own financial resources. You might decide that you just don't want to pay taxes anymore, right? And you might decide that you can do better than you've done in the past. You might decide that what you've been doing for the last 10, 15, 20 years isn't getting you where you want to go, and you need to do something different. The moment you decide any of those things, you establish a self-directed account. It takes all of 10 to 15 minutes. You can do it online. We do it electronically, right? Super simple. That's it. So now you've completed step 1. You have a self-directed account, which takes us to step number 2. We have to put some money in that account to work with. So we're going to deposit some money in that self-directed IRA. How do we deposit money into that account? There's 3 ways we can basically do this. The first is a contribution. So if you have earned income this year, which I'm going to assume we all have, if you don't have it, we can talk about how to create it. But I'm going to assume for tonight's purposes that we all have earned income. So that means you just take some money out of your checking account or your savings account, and you can deposit that into your self-directed retirement account. Second way you can put money in that account is what's called a transfer. So a transfer is where we take money from another IRA at another financial institution, a bank or a brokerage, and transfer it into a self-directed IRA. That money comes over dollar for dollar, no taxes, no penalties, as long as that movement is done correctly. The third way we can deposit money in that account is something called a rollover. Now, rollovers mean different things to different people. So I'm going to use that term the way that most people use that term. The way that most people use that term is what they're referring to is they're taking money from an old 401k, 403b, TSP, right? Some sort of company-sponsored plan and rolling it into a self-directed IRA. So now we've completed the first 2 steps. We have an account, we have money in it, which takes us to the third step, which is to direct. And it's this step that makes it a truly self-directed account, because it's in this step that you say to your custodian, to specialized trust company, I want you to buy this piece of real estate in my account. I want to buy this note. I want to lend my money to this investor, right? And that's the process. Like that's actually how simple self-directing is. Now I promised you a bonus step, and this is the funnest step of all. It's called a distribution or distribute. And that's where we get to the point where we take money out of the account to replace our earned income to pay for our lifestyle, right? And that's what I call our freedom day. When we turn on distributions from a retirement account and we don't have to work anymore. You might choose to work, but that's the key. You want to have the choice. You don't want to work because you have to work. You want to work because you choose to work. That's the distribution phase of the account. And that's the complete process. Now, when it comes to accounts from a tax standpoint, and that's all I'm going to focus on, right? To keep us, within a pretty short time frame here. I'm just going to focus on the tax benefits for accounts tonight, right? So you have a couple choices. The first choice is that you can pay less taxes. So if you want to pay less taxes, then this is the strategy that you want to employ. So how does this work? The first type of account, people call it different things. It's called a traditional IRA. There's other types of accounts out there, but people will talk about traditional IRAs. And a traditional IRA is what's called a tax deferred or a tax deductible retirement account. How does that work? Well, let me give you a scenario. Let's say I report $100,000 in earned income this year. I make an $8,000 contribution to my IRA, my traditional IRA. I get to subtract $8,000 from my taxable income. So now my new taxable income is $92,000. I just put $8,000 into that account, which probably, depending upon your tax bracket, could mean $2,000 to $3,000 in taxes that you took away from the federal government, you kept in your own pocket, right? So that's the first benefit. Now, let's say I take that $8,000 and I invest it, and let's just say for illustration purposes, I double my money this year, right? So at the end of the year, my account is worth $16,000. What's my tax liability on my $8,000 profit? Zero, because it's in a tax-protected environment. So now what happens? This is where the Ferrari comes into play, right? Because now with every single dollar I ever make from this point forward, I get to keep all of that to reinvest, and my money will exponentially grow faster and larger as a result of that. Fast forward, I turn the magic age of 59 and a half, unless I tell you otherwise, which I'm not going to do tonight, 59 and a half, and I take money out at that time. When I take money out, I don't have to pay all the taxes I pay now, but I do pay federal, state, and local if you live in an area where you pay state and local. So we do pay taxes on those distributions. Those distributions are larger because our money grew larger, and we pay fewer taxes as a result, okay? That's a tax deferred or a tax deductible account. That's pay less tax. Okay, here's the other option that the government created for us. Would you rather just pay no taxes at all? Because that's the other option, okay? So there's another account out there called a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA. Roth IRA is what's referred to as a tax-free account. Now, tax-free, tax deferred are technical terms that come from the IRS code, okay? That's how they use, those are the phrases or the words they use to describe these accounts. So when they say tax-free, what do they mean by that? Well, let's go back to our scenario. Let's say I make $100,000 this year, and that's my reportable income. I make an $8,000 contribution to a Roth IRA. When I file my tax return, I'm still going to file and pay taxes on $100,000. I'm not asking for a tax deduction on this one. So I have a Roth. I now have $8,000 in my Roth. Same scenario. Let's say I double my money. My account's worth $16,000 at the end of the year. What's my tax liability? Zero, right? No capital gains tax, no income tax. I get to keep all the money. So again, I'm going to get that same Ferrari effect. I'm going to get that exponential compounding, right? So my money grows way faster and way larger by doing it inside of this vehicle. But now fast forward, here's where the magic happens. We turn 59 and a half, unless I tell you otherwise. And in this particular case, the account is established for 5 years. So 5 years, 59.5. I meet those two requirements. Every dollar I take out of that account comes out 100% tax-free. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no tax at all. Here's a really cool thing about the Roth. When I pass, where does that money go? Goes to my wife. She gets the same tax-free benefits that I get. When she passes, where does the money go? To the kids. Guess what? They get to spend the money tax-free. If you want to rewrite your legacy, if you want to rescue your retirement, this is the absolute best way, in my opinion, to do it. Okay. Now I can summarize it this way. What does a Roth do for us? This is what a Roth does for every single person who has one. It takes us from forever taxed to never taxed. Forever taxed to never taxed. That's what a Roth does. Literally, from the moment we open a Roth and start to create income streams inside that Roth, we are moving towards a tax-free future. It's life-changing. Now, there's other accounts that you can self-direct. In fact, I group accounts into 3 categories. There's the IRAs that I just told you about. Then we have small business retirement plans, SEPs, Simples, solo 401ks, Roth 401ks. And then there's tax advantage specialty accounts, education savings accounts for the kids, which I know the ZEEB'S love. There's health savings accounts. So there's all kinds of accounts that you can self-direct. They all come with one of those 2 tax benefits, or in some cases, both combined into the same exact account. So that's a little bit of how the accounts work from a tax standpoint. So now that we kind of have that in mind, right? Remember, we've got the vehicle, we had the Ferrari. So now let's kind of continue on with this thought process of why we might want to self-direct our accounts. When we start working with folks, what a lot of folks are facing is this. So IRAs were originally introduced back in 1974. So in the earlier 2000s, right, mid 2000s, the Social Security Administration decided to conduct a study. Because what they said was, right, we introduced IRAs as we know them back in 1974. 401ks were an invention of the 80s. So what they said was, we have 20, 30 years, in some cases more history now, since these accounts have been around. And what we gave some people advice back in the 70s and 80s, and we want to know how this advice worked out. Well, let's start with this. What advice did they give us back then? What they told us to do was go to school, get a good job, participate in the company-sponsored retirement plan, give it enough time, and when we're ready to stop working, everything's going to work out just fine. I mean, that's effectively what they told us in a nutshell, right? So the Social Security Administration said, okay, we want to know how that advice worked out for people. Well, here's one of the findings from that study. It says, according to a recent study, right, basically, here's what they did. They said, here's how we're going to conduct the study. We're going to take 100 people at the start of their working career and follow them to the age of retirement, which in this particular study, they define the age of retirement as age 65. So that tells you right there, the government doesn't want you taking Social Security before 65. But, right, they said, we're going to follow people to the age of 65. And what they found out was this, right, which you can see on the screen. 5 out of 100 people are financially secure. 5 out of 100 people are financially secure. We could flip that and look at it from the other direction. 95% of Americans fail to create any kind of financial security during their lifetime. Because if it hasn't happened by age 65, something has to change pretty dramatically, pretty quickly for that to turn around, right? So this is how self-directing helps solve that problem and scale our wealth. When we start working with people, here's what we find needs to happen. It's basically the same plan or the same process that we all face, right? The number one thing we have to do is preserve our nest egg, right? In other words, our nest egg is the amount of money we have accumulated up to this exact point in time. Whatever that is, it's a different number for all of us, but whatever we have to keep it. So that means we have to keep it safe from attorneys and creditors. It means we have to keep it safe from taxes. It means we have to keep it safe from those downturns in the stock market. So preserve our nest egg is job number one. And the reason why we need to do that is because we need to grow our nest egg. In other words, people are working in their business or in their jobs, in their professions, because they can't step out of them yet. They don't have enough money. So if the current nest egg isn't enough to get us out of work, then we have to grow our nest egg. And the reason why we do that is because we need to create additional, reliable, consistent, predictable income. That's what allows us to step out of whatever we're doing. It at least gives us that choice, right? Because we need to replace our earned income stream with a new, reliable, consistent income stream. We do that by growing our nest egg. And the only way that I'm aware of to accomplish all three of those things is to get control over our money. That's why people, if I want to drill it down, make it super simple, right there on that screen, that is why people are self-directing. That is why I self-direct. So that's on the wealth side. That's on our personal wealth side, right? Let's look at the other side of this coin. Now, I don't know if you're interested in raising private money to do investments, start a business, grow your business or not. But whether you're in that seat or not, I will tell you this applies to you as well. And you're going to see how, because I'm going to give you a case study that's going to bring all this together. You're going to see how self-directing works in action. All right, so how can self-directed IRAs help you scale your business? Well, because that's where the money is, and that's where the problem is. When I say the problem, 95% of Americans have this problem. They aren't financially secure. They want to be. To do that, they have to switch up their investment options. If you are raising private money, if you have investments to offer where you can pay people a better return or a more consistent return, if that can be secured by real estate, right, that can help solve that problem. The other side of that, or the other part of that, is that that's where the money is. So what do I mean by that? Okay, well, size matters when it comes to money. So when people talk about private money, and I've heard people talk about this in real estate since I've been in it, right? Is that everybody talks about the holy grail of funding and financing and being able to do more deals and get things done is private money. Here's the challenge with private money. The biggest challenge with private money is this: finding it. Finding it is always the biggest problem. Why? Well, Social Security just told us 5 out of 100 people are financially secure. Does that mean they have money to invest with you? Not necessarily. 1 in 100 people in the country right now is considered wealthy. That means if you're looking for private money, you're looking for that one person in 100 that has money sitting in a bank account that they could invest with you, okay? That's the challenge with private money. It's hard and rare to find, but I'm going to show you how to change that, because the money is in the retirement accounts, okay? This is a chart from the Investment Company Institute. They publish this data every single year in their investment company fact book. Okay, so this represents the amount of money over the years that is in retirement accounts right now. Now that's kind of small print, so if you can't read it, I'll blow it up for you, right? That says $32 trillion. Right now today, there's actually over $32 trillion in retirement accounts. If you're looking for private money, this is where the money is, okay? People who have a retirement account can act as a private investor or private lender for you using that account. So I'm going to give you a couple, I'll give you this quick case study and then I'll give you another one. So I want to look at it first from a business perspective. So Ty is somebody that we have worked with, and here's what Ty does. So Ty has a real estate investment company. He does several things. So what he does is he buys property, and this is called turnkey property, right? So he buys a property, fixes it up, and rents it out. Now he's got a large enough portfolio of his own that what he realized along the way was there's a lot of people out there who would like to own real estate, get the benefits of real estate ownership, and get the income, the reliable, consistent income stream that real estate pays out, but they don't have the expertise to buy it, to rehab it, or to manage it. He does. So what he started doing was buying the property, fixing it up, renting it out, and then selling that property to an investor. Challenge is, a lot of people want to own assets like real estate. A lot of people want income streams that real estate gives them, except they don't have the money, as we just discussed. So what Ty figured out was he could sell that real estate to someone who has an IRA. So they could buy it in their self-directed IRA, and then they can receive all that income. That's one side of the coin. But where does he get the money to purchase the real estate and fix it up in the first place? Well, that's interesting. He gets it from a different IRA investor, because see, there's some IRA investors who don't want to own real estate, but they like the protection and security that real estate offers. So they'll lend money from their IRA to him to buy the property and fix it up. He then sells that property to somebody who wants to own it, takes the money, pays off the loan, keeps the profits for himself. But then what he has done is he's created a residual income stream for himself, because then he continues to manage the property for the new property owner. That's an example of how one person, one business built self-directed retirement accounts into their business. So you can see this has nothing to do with Ty's own IRA, right? This is 100% how he has grown and built his business. Okay, let's look at it from another perspective. So let me introduce you to William. Now, William lives in San Jose, California, and I am going to give you some background on William. Okay, so married with 2 kids, makes between 100 and 200K a year. By the way, that's his own personal income. His wife does work in this particular situation. She doesn't make as much money as he does. She has a side business, or she has a business. And right now, during this time, she wasn't making a lot of money from it. So he's the main breadwinner in his family, which poses a little bit larger financial risk to the family, doesn't it? So, okay, makes 100 to 200K a year. He's got a mortgage, 2 car payments. So this is pretty much, you know, the average American out there today, right? This is everybody we know. This might reflect some of you, right? But these are our friends and our family. This is what this is. Nothing remarkable here. Okay, so I've got a couple questions for you. He's 56 years young at the time. I'm going to ask you to take your best guess, okay? So particularly if you're thinking about raising private money, so here's the thing. William is 56 years old. He's got a job. He wants to get out of his job. He does not want to work the rest of his life. He is looking for alternatives and things to do. If you approached him and said, hey, I have a real estate investment and you could lend me the money and I'll pay you X. Here's the question for you. How much money do you think, William, these are his stats, right? How much money do you think, and I'm going to look at the chat box. So do me a favor, type your answers in the chat box. How much money do you think you would have outside of his IRA to invest with you? You go up, you make him, I can tell you right now, he's interested in real estate investing. Okay, so he's very interested in real estate investing. How much money do you think William has to invest with you outside of his IRA? What would you guess? 50,000? I see 0, none. 250,000? 10? 50? Okay, so let me change that up again. I'm going to give you the answers, but I want to ask the questions first. So I got one more question for you. Okay, so that's how much you think he's got outside of his IRA. How much do you think he has inside of his IRA? Again, those are the stats. What would you guess? What do you think he has inside of his IRA to invest? 200, 500, 950,000, 5,000, 150, 25,000. All right, good guesses. All right. So let's look at the answers. He's got no money in savings outside of his retirement account. In fact, he doesn't even have $1,000 in an emergency fund. His emergency fund are his credit cards. And sadly, that's a problem for a lot of Americans. I've heard different numbers on this, but what I have heard recently, and I've heard different numbers, I've heard anywhere from 40 to 70% of Americans don't even have $2,000 cash in a savings account right now. That's how tight money is for most people, okay? But now look at this. When he opened up his self-directed accounts with us, which is why I know all about William, he transferred $543,000 in cash. And this is what and here's the point. If you are raising money, if you are looking for money, and you're not talking about someone's IRA or their retirement account, you are missing the mark. You are missing out on the money, because William would love to invest in real estate. But most people don't know they can use their retirement account to invest in real estate. You know that now, if you didn't know it before, right? So you've got to have the conversation about the retirement account. Now let's talk about what problems William has. So let's take this a step further. I'm going to give you some information on this. This is what self-directing looks like in action. So let's talk about some problems that William has. Well, okay, I already told you every dollar he's got is almost spent before he makes it, because he doesn't have any money in savings, because, right, his expenses basically equal his income every single month. So every month when he goes to work, he already knows all his money is already spoken for, right? He's already spent it on all the bills. Whoops, he just got laid off. So this is a big issue. And by the way, hope this doesn't happen to anyone. If you have a career or a job, there have been major announcements of massive layoffs so far in the tech sectors where it started. It's hit the finance sector, right? What was it, UPS, or I think it was UPS. Did you hear about the UPS layoffs? They're cutting $1 billion in payroll in 2024. $1 billion in payroll. Okay, that is massive. So what does that mean? You know, well, how is he going to take care of his family since he's basically the main breadwinner, right? No income means he can no longer make his mortgage payment. No income means he cannot make the car payment. And no job means he has no health insurance, because most people get their health insurance through their employers, right? So he will get offered COBRA, except COBRA is really expensive. So this is the reality for a lot of Americans. This is the problem William has, okay? So how can self-directing help with any of that? Well, I'm going to show you. So William became a client at Specialized several years ago, and we do a lot of different things. We are more than just a custodian, okay? But William, basically, we helped William put together a plan. So this is what William actually did. The first thing he did when he became a client was he cut expenses. How did he cut expenses? Well, he restructured his high interest credit card debt. And the way he did that was, we took his traditional IRA from his previous, the place where he previously held it, and transferred that money into a self-directed solo 401k. The 401k is the one there's an interest rate, but all you're doing is moving money from one pocket to another. So I call this a zero cost of capital, right? So we used the 401k loan to restructure the debt. Now, by the way, before I go to the next point, one thing I also want to share with you. One of the benefits that William also got from this is that his credit score went up. Why did that happen? Because 401k loans are not reportable loans. Nobody knows you have it. So what he did was, and we see this all the time, people take out a 401k loan, pay off high interest rate credit cards, by the way, this is a fully amortized 5-year loan. So he cut his monthly spend, right? He reduced his spend, right? He cut the expense on what he was spending on the credit card payments, making the payments now to his own 401k. That will be fully paid off in 5 years. The debt will be gone. His cash flow, his positive cash flow will go even higher. And he got an immediate bounce up on his credit score because of the debt utilization numbers, right? Because he paid off the credit cards, but no new loan appeared. So that immediately brought up his credit score. Okay, he saved money. How did he save money? So the second thing that he did, so he became a client in February of the year that he transferred over. And in November of that year, he switched from standard health insurance to a high deductible health insurance plan offered by his employer. By going from standard health insurance, where the premium was up here, he went to a high deductible health insurance plan, and he saved himself $488 a month on his health insurance premium. He then took that $488 and he put it in what's called a health savings account, an HSA. All right. So he cut his spend there, and now he put $488 a month into his own account. That's now his money that he's recapturing. By the way, that $488 tax deductible to William. So he cut expenses on taxes as well. Now, there's also something that he did. I'm going to come back to that in a second, though. So let me pull this up here first. So here's what happened, right? Remember, he got laid off. So he got laid off in February of the following year. So here's an interesting thing about the HSA, and this is something that most people don't know. You can't pay your health insurance premiums from an HSA. But the way the HSA works, it's a health savings account. You can pay for qualified medical expenses using pre-tax dollars for everything. Like the day you set up the account, right? As long as you got money in the account, you can pay it. But one of the things that's in the rules on HSAs is that you're allowed to pay COBRA premiums if you go unemployed from your HSA. So you can use pre-tax dollars, right? Well, here's what happened. Because he switched to a high deductible health insurance plan, first of all, that COBRA premium was way less, number one. Number two, because he set up the HSA, he could pay the health insurance, the COBRA premiums from his HSA. There's only one problem, right? He set it up in November, or that's what he signed it and enrolled in the new plan. He made a contribution in January, contribution in February, and then he gets laid off. He doesn't have the money in there yet to pay the COBRA premiums. But again, there's another little known rule. You are allowed once in a lifetime to transfer money from a tax-deferred account like a traditional IRA into your HSA up to your contribution limit, which in William's case was right around $7,500. So he moved $7,500 over from a traditional IRA, right? So that's what we did. We moved it over. So now he's got the money in there to pay his COBRA. Okay, so we cut expenses, save money, get the HSA in place to be able to cover their COBRA premiums. Now, the third thing that we focused on was creating new income streams. How did he do that? Well, he bought turnkey real estate. He lives in San Jose, California. San Jose real estate, right? Silicon Valley is very expensive real estate, doesn't cash flow. He couldn't afford to invest there. But using a self-directed 401k, he was able to deploy his money and buy turnkey property in other states. It's also managed, right, from someone else. So his retirement account owns it. His retirement account receives that income. What did that do for him? It helped him, first of all, preserve his nest egg. Because what most people do when they find themselves in this situation, and what William would have done if he was sitting at a typical bank or brokerage with all his money in mutual funds, he would have started to take distributions, right? Pull money out. He would have paid taxes and penalties on those distributions and started to draw down his account, which is financially fatal for a lot of people at age 56, right? He doesn't have enough to retire yet. So drawing down on his nest egg is a problem. But because he bought turnkey real estate, right? He owns a real asset inside of his account. And he can't spend that real asset. It's a real asset. So he was able to preserve his nest egg, but because it's paying rental income back to his account, what we did was we turned on distributions for him. So he's taking the rental income out every month. That supplements the unemployment income. So let me kind of recap all of that, what he was able to do. He cut expenses by setting up a 401k and taking high interest rate credit card debt to virtually zero interest rate debt. He then saved money on his health insurance by setting up a self-directed HSA and switching over to high deductible health insurance plan. He used the remaining cash in the 401k account to purchase real estate that spun off consistent, predictable income every month. When he lost his job, those income, those distributions from his retirement account supplemented the unemployment income he had. So now, what does all that mean together? William was able to take care of his family. In fact, I'll never forget the day he called me to tell me he got laid off. He was actually in very, very high spirits, and he was actually laughing on the phone because all this had been set up in advance. He knew he could pay his mortgage, he could pay the cars, he could keep his family with health insurance. And in fact, what he said was, he says, Edwin, you know what? He says, I'm not even in a rush to get another job. He says, I'm going to make sure the next job I get is something I really, really want. I'm not going to take anything because I can go on for a long, long time like this because, right, I've got the income, we've got everything set up. I know I can take care of things. That is huge. That is self-directing in action, right? So think about it. If you're raising private money, if you're selling notes, if you're giving somebody a note against real estate, if you're selling off properties that people get rental income from, you're helping people like William. You're helping everyday regular people solve this problem. By the way, you can do this in your own account, right? So let me ask you a question, again, kind of thinking about that side of it. How many Williams are out there? Because remember, the problem with private money, 1 in 100 people have money to invest with you. William didn't have money to invest with you outside of an account. So how many Williams are out there in the country today? Well, watch this. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 Americans age 50 and older have a retirement account. You go from 1 in 100 people to 8 out of 10 people age 50 and over. You want to drop it down to age 40? 7 out of 10 people have a retirement account. If you are looking for private money, if you are looking for capital for an investment or your business, this is where the money is, right? This is the game changer. So I have something that I'm going to offer you guys. If you want to learn more, we'll open it up to questions. I'll be happy to take all your questions. But let me share with you how William was able to actually do this. So how can a custodian help you scale your wealth and scale your business? Well, the role that the custodian plays, let me just say this, okay? The role that the custodian plays is we are what's called a passive custodian. We do not sell investments. We do not advise on investments. We do not recommend or steer you to specific investments. A custodian sets up the account. We do all the administration, custody work, safekeeping, record keeping, tax filings, everything to maintain compliance from an IRS standpoint. So you get all these tax benefits, asset protection benefits, and can invest and create wealth for yourself and your family. That's what a custodian does. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I happened to be in Houston, Texas, and a gentleman came up and asked me, he says, you know, there's other self-directed custodians out there. And there are, right? I'm sure if you know anything about self-directing, you probably know some other names. But he asked me an interesting question. He said, what separates you from your competition? And I said, this right here. This is what separates us. Because yes, there's other custodians out there that will send out checks or hold assets. But I said, I don't know of one custodian that can take the Williams of the world, from where they were at to where he is now. I don't know anybody else who does that. How do we do that? Well, it begins right here. one of the things that begins this whole transformation process is something that I created. It took me nearly 2 decades to figure out how to do this, right? It's called the Accelerated Wealth Quick Start Workshop. And here's what it is. This is where William started. I say the journey of many miles begins with the next step. This is a workshop. I teach it live every single month. So we have another workshop starting in March. The very first class, and this is called a workshop, and I'm going to explain why. I'll walk you through the format, and I'll walk you through the process that William went through to be able to put this all together. So it begins with an initial assessment. The assessment we do week number 1. So in that initial assessment, what we want to do is get a picture. It's a photograph that I have you kind of give me. Here's where I'm at. Here's what life looks like for me today. And then what we do is we start to pull this mental movie out of your head, right? This vision for your ideal future. Where do you want to go? What's important to you? What do you value? What do you want to accomplish? And we do that all in week number 1 to identify where you're at and where you want to go. That's week number 1. In week number 2, we go into the planning phase. There's 2 components to the planning phase. The first part is custom plan design. This is where we look at you as an individual, we look at your family, and we look at your business situation, your professional situation. And we create a custom plan design using all these different self-directed vehicles to show you how they are, how they work, what they are, and how they help you meet your goals faster. So how did William know to use a 401k? How did he know to use an HSA? How did he know to transfer money from a traditional into an HSA and fund that deal? Custom plan design. That's where it all comes from. But William still didn't know what to do with the cash, right? He didn't know how to create an income stream, which is the second part of the planning phase. It's what we call your master plan. And that's the second thing we help you create. So the master plan is how we're going to take the accounts that you select that you want to use and then connect all the dots, literally from your goal that you need to achieve or you want to achieve with the accounts you're going to use. We work with you to build in the investment strategies to make sure they're on point and it pencils and is going to meet your goal, okay? And then we build in the actual tactics. What do I need to do this week, next week, the week after that to get that done and accomplish it all? That's all the master plan. So these 2 things work hand in hand. It all begins with that assessment that helps us create the plan so that it reflects you and where you're at, okay? By the way, you get to decide the timeframes for all of these things. So you can speed up that time frame, you can extend it out. I have clients who say, hey, look, I want to be out of my job in 2 years. That's pretty aggressive, but again, it's your plan and it's possible, right? If based on what you want to achieve. I'll say that most clients come to us with a 7 to 10 year horizon. I want to be done with what I'm doing within 7 to 10 years. That's what is usually built in and reflected in these master plans. So now we have a plan. You know what accounts you're going to use. You know why you're using it, maybe for the first time. Like, this is why I have this account. These are the benefits to me. This is how I can use it all, right? So you have the master plan. Now that's all done. In week number 3, we do 2 things. Investment structures. So you've got 1 or more accounts established, self-directed accounts, and you have your plan. How do you actually structure investments with your account or accounts? And that's where we build in the investment structures with the rules and the regs. I call it fearless investing. This is where you learn how to put together and execute the exact investments you want to make, okay, with the accounts you have and the amount of cash you have available to you. I call that fearless investing because as Tom mentioned this in the intro, the government wrote the rule book. We need to understand the rules and how this and how this all comes together. In less than 30 days, you go from, you may know a little bit about self-directing or you may not know a lot at all, to you have plans that you are now executing you understand rules and regs to the tune that 90% of people who self-direct don't even understand at that level. You get there in 30 days, you're off and running. Now, there's a couple other things that I want to share with you that are part of this workshop, and this is why we call it a workshop. So if you want to raise private money, if that's one of your goals, or you thinking you might want to do that, you also get your very own account manager. You get a single point of contact that's specialized to work with when and help you with your fundraising. So that's all part of it. The other piece of this, I just outlined to you the classes. So there's 3 classes. We teach them live every single month. So like I said, the next class is in March. In between our group classes, you have access to, again, a single point of contact, a self-directed specialist, and every week you have a strategy call. That person is there to answer all your questions and to help you get all this done, right? So when you graduate from that class in less than 30 days, you will have an executable plan that you can do. You'll have your custom plan design done. You'll know where you're going and you know how you're going to get it done. Everything is done in less than 30 days. So that is the Quick Start Workshop. Now, we typically offer this workshop for $14.97. It's live, it's hands-on. I teach most of the classes. You have access to a specialist. By the way, after every call, let me mention this too. There's a lot to this workshop. I mean, I spent a lot of time figuring out how to put this together and actually help people achieve results. Every Tuesday, because that's when the classes take place, Tuesdays, 1 o'clock Eastern. After that class is over, you get an email every single week with the action items, right? The homework assignments in there with a link to the recording. So if for some reason you couldn't stay for the whole call that day, or you weren't able to make that day because something came up at the last minute, you can watch the recording later that day. And then that way you still have everything done when you go into your strategy session later in the week. So this is like we literally hold you by the hand and lead you to success. And this is exactly how William did it. So that's the link to register for the class. Now, I've been longtime friends with Tom and Carolina, and Traction has been a huge supporter of Specialized Trust Company and myself. Like Tom said, we've known each other for a long time. I knew Tom before he started Traction, and he knew me before I started Specialized. So we have a lot of history together. So you're not paying $14.97 for that class. Tom, what did you say we were going to bring that down to? I didn't put it in here.
We brought it down at an absurd price, just so it's kind of the same as many other short classes, even though yours is a long and very detailed class. So $49, kids. That's it.
$49. There you go. So, I'm happy to do it for you because my goal is, by the way, if you have a self-directed account and you have it someplace else, just like that client that I mentioned to you at the beginning, right? You may not have done anything with it. For $49, you can take this class. You will learn how to use the self-directed account wherever you have it, right? Even if it's, I'd love to have you as a client. Believe me, I'd love to have you as a client. But even if you're not my client at Specialized, this class, this is self-directing, right? This will work anywhere. If you have an account someplace else, you'll still be able to use all the information.
Absolutely. And when that's, I mean, I suppose I should explain why we did that and kind of pushed you for an absurdly low price. Not to confuse price with value. Value is high, price is low. But because I think people know what my general thoughts are for the year, what's coming ahead, being prepared for that. Particularly with, I mean, some of the backstory as well. I'm going through with my own parents, getting them set going forward. Thank heavens that we set these accounts up with them and for ourselves years ago, because it saves a ton as you go. It gets you ready for the future, no matter what happens. And I find it kind of odd too. For years, I always go, oh, well, when you're 59 and a half, and I'm not there yet. And I'm still not there yet, but you know what? It's inching closer and closer. And what you said it again tonight, if you wait too late, you don't have the power of time. Time helps you compound your money and helps you grow your money. And so it's something you have to do now. That's one of the reasons we're presenting this to people. And one of the reasons I'm trying to push people to do this, because I want to make sure they're thinking about their future. secure both for them, for their family, for their kids, for their grandkids, because this can become intergenerational, and that's what we want to have happen. So that's one of the reasons why we're knocking the price to attend this class down to almost nothing. I mean, $49 is almost nothing.
Well, you know, it's interesting. So when that client that I mentioned earlier, right, jumped into this class, she's in the February class. One of the concerns she brought up, and I think this is a valid point. So her husband, similar situation to this, her husband is the main breadwinner in the family. And her concern is if something happens to him, which statistically, right, us husbands go before our wives. She said, I need to know that I'm taken care of, and the retirement account and the money that we've accumulated in it represents my financial security if anything happens to him. And so let me draw another line, which I didn't mention with William's story, because there's so many other benefits and little lines that I could draw for you. But for the sake of time, I try to just hit the highest level points that I think are going to apply to most people listening. When William passes, assuming, right, his wife outlives him, she inherits all of that. So literally the income stream, instead of us cutting the checks to William, they get cut to his wife. He has secured his legacy, right? So that's a big deal to people. You can take care. I mean, this is not just rescuing your retirement. This is a way to rewrite your family legacy. And so again, when she passes at some point, right, that will go to the kids and they'll get that income stream. So there's just so many lines that I could draw here. There's so many benefits that you'll get. And by the way, the other thing that I'll point out is one of the, let me say this too. This is actually the best time of year to be hearing this, because you mentioned, if you remember, I mentioned with the Roth, you have to have your account open for 5 years. If you don't have a Roth, but you know you want to get into a tax-free environment, you're just not sure how to do it yet. Again, we go over all of that with you. We'll help you put that all together. That's part of plan design. That's where it comes in. But if you open up an account right now and make a small contribution, I mean, you could put $500 or $1,000 in an account. That's it. Just put that in there. We can earmark that contribution for last year. The IRS will assume you open that account with us on January 1st of 2023. You now have a year and 3 months, right, shaved off your clock. You don't have a 5-year clock. You have less than a 4-year clock now. Once you file your tax return, that opportunity is off the table. If that's something you want to do, you want to get enrolled, I would say tonight in this class. And then, by the way, as soon as you enroll in this class, Carolina is going to send me over that information. You will get contacted within 24 to 48 hours to get you enrolled in the class for March. By the way, I'll also mention if for some reason the dates in March just don't work for you, we teach this class live every month. You can take it any day, any month throughout the year. I would recommend you do it sooner rather than later, particularly because of upcoming tax deadlines. Like I said, that if you pass those tax deadlines, it's just a missed opportunity. But you'll get contacted this week. So, it's Thursday, right? So 24 to 48 hours, right? You'll get contacted. The point is, you don't have to wait for the class. If you know you want to get moving on a Roth or something like that, that's part of the intro. When you get, we'll reach out to you. We welcome you to the program. The person that you'll be working with will go over best practices, what to expect from the class, how to prepare. You're going to get some stuff ahead of time. Again, it's very, very hands-on. And you can bring up the Roth at that point in time, and you don't have to wait for the class. If you want to get a Roth established, you can do it right away.
Hi, Edwin.
Hey.
I couldn't kick him out, but I'm gonna jump in. When I met you, I hadn't even done my first deal. This is back in probably 2004, but I got it. I got what you were saying, and I remember I opened my account, and at that time I had a JOB, no credit, no assets. And I remember I think I probably put $500 on that account. And then I started doing wholesaling, getting my deals going. And then I remember the first time I did one of my first wholesale deals inside the Roth, and it was beautiful because you showed me how you held my hand. And then I think from that moment, I started calling you my retirement coach, my retirement consultant. Just like you hire a trainer at a gym, or you hire a nutritionist to help you with food. I made you my retirement consultant because as I grew in my real estate and financial life, you walked me through the process. At the beginning, I only needed a basic Roth, right? Then I started doing a lot more deals. Then I got married to this gringo, and then we had kids. And I remember you teaching me how to open a educational account, the CISA. And then as we grew, the business grew, then, okay, the 401k, this, and that. So that's why it's so important to have someone like you to hold your hand and show you the right way of doing things. But do not wait until, oh, I'll be 60 and then probably I'll start thinking of retirement. Whether you've done 10 deals, 20, 100, or 0, just get it open. And the benefit of doing this before April 15, before your taxes, is huge. So again, you are my retirement consultant for life, and I do appreciate this amazing, not only friendship, but all your advice and really holding our hand to make our financial dreams and visions come true. Because you really saw how we started, especially me, with nothing, and then how we have grown our business and financial life. Is that a good?
Excellent
statement?
description. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Edwin.
Well, and by the way, Carolina, North Carolina, I'm going to start calling you North Carolina because
Edwin,
you use
you
that
got me
analogy.
for so
So I
long.
love that.
You cannot call me Carolina.
But what Carolina outlined is another way that people also kind of go down this path, because with William, we set everything up day one when he came in, right? With Carolina, what she pointed out, and this is the way it works for a lot of people, right? You start with one thing, but we create that plan design from the very beginning, but this is kind of an ongoing program, if you will, right? In other words, when you become a client, we have a lifelong relationship. So we'll do annual checkups, we do those types of things. So that's how you know, right? That plan design can get updated every year as your circumstances, as your life changes. Because life is not static, it evolves, and everything that we're doing should evolve with us, right? And it does. And in this particular case, it does, at least the way we built the system.
Yes, and I was gonna say something and I forgot. Oh, and I love calling specialized the main number. And I don't mention you or I mean, I have yourself and I have direct access to you, but I love calling the main number and getting an amazing customer service experience. There's someone that knows me, that is somebody already assigned to my account, so I don't have to explain this is what I want to do. So I love it. I love how, because a lot of people ask me why specialize. It's like, well, that is the reason, because the customer service is fantastic, because we know who the leader of that amazing organization is. So that is always the reason. I said, because they actually know my account, know me, and I have someone assigned to me. So yeah, I love doing that, where I just pick up the phone and I don't say that I'm friends with Edwin. I just say, oh, it's me.
I know that was one of the big reasons you went off and started your own firm for this, because customer service was and apparently still is a serious issue at a number of other places. So that's why we're always happy. And I get great feedback from people on that as well, because we have many of our members using your services now, and it's just worked out great over the years.
I'm gonna do some questions.
Edwin, I'm going to go through some questions in
Yeah.
the chat. There's one in here from Florian so far. It says, can I use a self-directed retirement account as a Canadian who's investing in the United States, although he's not a U.S. citizen?
Okay, great question. And I will say we have clients from Canada. So so let me explain how that works. So the answer is, Florian, yes, it's possible. So here's how this works. If you're investing in the US, you only need to have two, and this is for anybody, anywhere in the world, okay? you only need two things to be able to establish a retirement account in the United States. You need earned income, and you need a tax ID number, a TIN, which is a social security number here in the US. You have those two things, then you are eligible to open and contribute to a retirement account. So and that's how most people do it. So if like you have an LLC here in the United States that you invest through, if you pay yourself earned income through that LLC, then yes, you can establish an account and you can contribute to that account then.
Okay, nice little technique. Pay yourself out of your own U.S. company. Now you have earned income, open account. Awesome. Edwin, Daniel Song is asking, is it possible to use a self-directed IRA in conjunction with an IUL, an indexed universal life insurance?
Those are two separate things.
Okay.
So I'm an advocate of life insurance. I have life insurance. What I tell people is that the self-directed accounts is typically the largest piece of somebody's wealth creation plan. That's just how it usually works out, right? It's not that, it's just how it is. Having said that, it's not a one-stop shop. It's not the only financial solution that you have as part of your overall financial picture. So I have life insurance. I'm actually working on my estate plan outside of, right? So the retirement accounts are a part of the estate plan, but there's a larger estate plan that an estate planning attorney creates. So there's some other pieces. So the life insurance is a separate thing from the IRAs, both very important to have.
Okay, gotcha. Kevin's asking, can you use a self-directed IRA to buy any crypto, like Bitcoin or anything?
Short answer, yes. And so we do have clients investing in crypto using their retirement account. We have a whole method of doing that. It's actually, I think, we looked at a lot of different ways that it can be done. And what we came up with was, I think, the ideal way of doing it for most clients. So yes, if you want to buy, but the short answer is, if you want to buy crypto in your self-directed account, you can absolutely do that.
Okay, good to know. And I know what you deal with in terms of federal regulators, legal compliance, the teams of attorneys that are on staff because that's what it takes to do these things right? We want to be able to invest on the edge. They'll let you do it as long as it adds up. So that's awesome. Douglas Boozer is asking, can you give us a quick walkthrough of an example of wholesaling a property using a Roth?
Well, it's very quick because it's very simple.
That's what I like about it.
So you have a Roth IRA, and let's say you just make a $500 contribution. So you got $500 cash in there. When you get control over the property, now again, people do wholesaling differently. So if you're talking about getting a contract and assigning the contract without going to close, which is the scenario I'm operating with here, okay, then instead of your name being the purchaser on that contract, or instead of your LLC being the purchaser or the owner of that contract, it would be Specialized Trust Company, FBO, your name, IRA, and the account number. And then what happens is you would ask for that financial consideration, the non-refundable option consideration, to come from the account, right? So we would give you the check to give to whoever, the seller is. And then when you assign that contract, whoever's purchasing that contract from you is going to write a check to the owner of that contract. In this case, it's your Roth IRA. And then you send the check into deposit into your account.
That's what I do, and it works out well. Other than my buyer name on the contract becomes long. Specialized Trust Company, FBO, Thomas Zeeb, Roth IRA, etc. So it's fun. It's like you say, it's beautifully simple because it's a simple technique. I would argue that's the easiest way to just massively boost up your retirement accounts, but I'm biased.
It's definitely one.
I love wholesaling assignments.
There's a lot of creative things. I'll say wholesaling, definitely. If you're starting a brand new account, you don't have a lot of money to work with, I would 100% say that Tom's strategies of wholesaling and everything else that he teaches is ideally suited to very rapidly grow. I'll use your word, Tom, rapidly.
Rapidly. All right.
rapidly grow that account
I
balance.
like things fast and rapid. It's good that way. Here's
Yeah.
another one. Diraj, and forgive me if I've mispronounced your name, Diraj. Raj. Is depreciation or cost segregation allowed on properties held in tax-deferred IRAs?
Okay, so there's different ways that people do things. So I'll try to speak to this as best I can. One of the so let me react. I'll ask the question a different way to kind of clarify one angle that people come at this with. People say, well, wait a minute, if it's in the IRA, how do I take the depreciation? Or can I take depreciation? And the answer is you don't. and the reason why is because you're not paying any taxes on it. So the reason why we want depreciation is to try to wash out profit or income on a transaction, but you're not paying tax on it. So there's nothing to take the depreciation against. Now, that's kind of the black and white, straightforward approach. There are people who structure deals where they can split out different aspects of the transaction to where one investor gets one benefit, a different investor gets a different benefit, right? People play different roles. So is it possible through contracts to say that perhaps the depreciation on a property goes to an investor that's not an IRA investor and the IRA investor gets a different benefit? That's all done by contract. So I would say that's more of a legal or tax advice thing, which, like I said at the beginning, I don't give. I can tell you that there's all kinds of creative things you can do. So if that's where you're going with your question, I would say if you're familiar with those types of strategies or people who can kind of draw those up to split out the different benefits that real estate offers, I would say that is possible to do.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Edwin. Thorough answers to good questions. Thank all of you as well for your good questions. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So if you have any, pop them in now. Otherwise, I think we'll start to wrap it up. So I put the link in there, tractionrea.com/IRA. That gets you into the multi-part class on IRAs, on your Accelerated Wealth Quick Start Workshop. And like I said, this is one of the techniques that can radically change what you're doing and change it for the better. A lot of people, you watch your stock account go up, then the stock market plummets and everyone loses everything. You watch your Bitcoin go up, you watch your Bitcoin go down. But even if you were to come in at a bad time, being able to quickly build these accounts up in a tax-free, which is an acceleration, because you're not losing that money to tax, you're able to keep it in yourself. It's amazing how fast you could build or even rebuild a retirement account, no matter what your age. So I think that's pretty cool. One more question in here from Horace. Can you borrow money from your self-directed IRA using your LLC?
Good question. So I'll be very specific. It is prohibited. In class number 3, when I talk about fearless investing rules and regs, we go over prohibited transactions, what you can and cannot do. Prohibited means cannot do it, right? Don't do it. So it is prohibited to borrow from your own IRA. You can borrow from someone else's IRA, but you cannot borrow from your own IRA. What you can borrow from is your own solo 401k. So again, this is where we go into the plan designing phase, because if you want to create a line of credit personally or for your business, one of the ways that you can do that is using a solo 401k plan. So you have access to your retirement account money right now, today, without paying taxes, without paying penalties, and with the ability to put the money back into the account. So again, I'll be specific in answering your question, Horace. No, you cannot borrow from your IRA, but if we set up a solo K for you, yes, you can.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other questions? I'm looking through and I don't see any, but of course I'm juggling the private messages as well. Let's see. I think we're probably in good shape. Horace is great, which is awesome. So Edwin, any final words to add on this unique because it's any type of, that's the other thing too. Hey, I'm a wholesaler. No, I'm a rehabber. I'm a landlord. I do commercial. I do Airbnb. I do it's self-storage. It doesn't matter. Put it in your IRA. That's what's so nice about this as well. This literally fits everything that we teach.
Yeah. And yeah, here's what I would say. You'll notice the name of the workshop is the Accelerated Wealth Workshop. What I'm talking about is building wealth. What we focus on and what we specialize in are self-directed retirement accounts. But I'll be honest with you, I could care less about retirement accounts. What I care about is the result, right? I care about the fact that I get to meet you in Italy in June, Tom, and you're going to be standing in at my wedding, right? I care about the fact that I'm able to take care of my family. I care about the fact that I know I can stop working anytime I want. I know that I'm taking care of my family's legacy, right? And particularly I'm going to see it more because I'm first generation with this stuff. I'll see it more with my grandkids than I will see it with my own kids, right? There's a bigger impact there when we actually get into legacy planning and those types of things. And for $49, which is what, right, you decided to put this out there at, I'll be honest with you guys, like for $49, if you don't have a plan or you're not sure if your plan is going to work for you, $49, you have nothing to lose. Like I would take the class and you'll find out that this might be something that's really for you or it's not. But for $49, I can tell you, you won't be disappointed with the class. It's one of the best things we've done, and we know that because of the reviews, the feedback, and all that. And it really does work. So that would be my parting word. Take the class, make the decision for yourself.
Awesome. I'm going to slide in one more question because you asked one. Can a property be moved into a self-directed IRA?
A property can be moved into it. Again, in week number 3, I teach you investment structures and the do's and the don'ts. So when you say move a property into an IRA, can you purchase property inside of a retirement account? Yes, you can, right? Can you move your own personal real estate into an IRA? No, you cannot. So again, it depends what you're, I'm always trying to interpret what you're asking me. So I actually answer the question you're asking me. So I can interpret that a couple of different ways, which is why I'm trying to be specific with that. Yeah.
Cool. And one more.
Classes? Yeah. So classes, so you gotta, yeah, right. So here's what so let me actually make that simple. If you own any investment or asset right now, it's never going in your retirement account. Once you have a self-directed account set up, anything from that point forward, 100% can go in your retirement account. Okay, that you don't own yet. So yeah, you need a little cash in your IRA. Like I said, you don't need a lot, depending upon if you're using Tom's wholesaling magic type of strategies. I call them magic, right? Because it's small dollars into presto, large dollars. But anyway, so yeah, you need a little bit of cash in the account, right? But you don't need a lot. I will say the more cash you have, the more options you have, but you don't need a lot to make it work.
Yeah, awesome. And then what time is the class at?
Oh yeah, sorry. So the class is, we teach it live, 1 o'clock Eastern. It's 3 Tuesdays, so it's 3 classes each month. So we have it down to 3 classes. I used to have it 4, but I know everybody's busy, so we were able to condense it down into 3 classes. Each class actually goes about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Just be prepared for that. But like I said, if for some reason you cannot attend live, after we do the class, you will get the link in an email so you can watch it that night, and you'll be, current and ready for your strategy call whenever you schedule that later in the week. Strategy calls are one-on-one, so that's based on your calendar with the person that you're working with on my team. So you guys figure out those days and times. That's totally your discretion. But class time is formally 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's call that. Gang, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to say good night to Edwin, and he'll be able to leave. I'm going to say good night to you guys then, but I'm going to leave the Zoom open for a few minutes, mute it off. That way I can process out the chat. Kaylin can process out her chat. So if you have any other questions, let us know. The link to grab this workshop, again, that series of 3 workshops, which is honestly totally awesome at $49 is a no-brainer. That link is in the chat. And it's also on the screen, tractionrea.com/IRA. So with that, Edwin Kelly, thank you very much for an awesome presentation teaching us about a really magnificent thing in real estate investing. And Carolina, anything else to add for everybody at this month's meeting?
Just do it, take action and make it happen. Because if you wait, oh, I'll wait until next month to do this. No, do it now. Is it 49 each month?
No, it's $49 one time.
One time, that's it.
One time. It just split into 3 for convenience, but it's $49 for that whole thing. It's not recurring. It's a one-time payment. So no problems there. All right, gang. So for the February 2024, man, time flies. 2024 February Traction Real Estate Investors Association main meeting online. It's Tom Zeeb and Carolina Zeeb signing off.